Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
All your days are belong to us.
We'll do it live!
Tide goes in, tide goes out. Never miscommunication.
So this is my first video blog.
It's over 9,000!
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in Nerd.
Objection! Do a barrel roll!
Don't take me, bro!
It's a trap! It's time to do.
Hey everybody, welcome to Phoenix 92.5 FM, and if you're listening to us via NerdtoKnowMedia.com, my name is Dara Connor and you're listening to NerdtoKnowBasis. I'm joined on the line by Mr. Bryn O'Rourke. What's up, Bryn?
Good. It's been a while. It's been a while since we did one of these. I forgot we were doing them.
Your schedule's terrible, so you're very hard to get on the
Yeah. Well, I have like a birthday every other week from February to April, so it's hard to get time aside for stuff like that.
That's like my September. My September is like atrociously bad for that, but the rest of the year is better. Yeah,
like I had to but I suppose I've been trying to I was supposed to change broadband provider for the last 4 weeks. I did it today. It's just so hard to get certain things done. But it is what it is. How are you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Busy, tired, still really tired.
Jet lag hitting you hard from your little gallivant to the States.
Like a brick wall. It's really bad because my body really likes San Francisco time because it's
that's usually when you're like awake here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why it's so perfect. It's like, this is just great. But now coming back is like, oh god, hell. So yeah, Irish time is not fun. So I'm still kind of I've been dingy for a while, but Comic-Con was cool. It was interesting to do that.
That's cool.
I saw one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, which we'll get to. And not in a good way, I mean like in a bad way. And a lot of interesting experiences over in the States as well. So we have a lot to talk through. And so I think first things first is going to touch base that Comic-Con was on over the weekend, which was, I wasn't there Saturday, and obviously we weren't covering it as much because you were busy with a birthday, and I was just there on the Sunday. But a great day out as well for everyone who was there. Sunday was obviously a little bit quieter than Saturday, which was nice to be fair because it wasn't super packed.
Less hers for you.
Some really cool panels I heard on Saturday, so that was interesting. Some cool guests. I got to meet Jason David Frank, who plays Tommy in Power Rangers. That was super cool. And overall, I think it was a successful experience. Shout out to my friend Leanne, who does Not the Beads. She's a fantastic crafter who makes like Julio beads and stuff as well, so check her out. And also, thanks to Olivia for setting us up with tickets for the show, for the Comic-Con and the shows and stuff. So that was great. So, what's coming up next is the Summer Comic-Con. So I think we'll obviously be covering that a little bit more in depth going forward. But if you guys haven't heard the interview, it's up on our SoundCloud and also on iTunes as well. So NerdtoKnowMedia.com is where you can check out what you can expect at a Comic-Con if you've never been there. But we would recommend it because it's unlike anything else that's on this time of year anyway. So it was what it was. And then after that, Bryn, I went to go see Captain Marvel. Oh, so there's a couple of things like people are saying, there's like a trolling campaign where the feminists are saying, it's empowering, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the trolls saying, it's horrible because she's a woman. Yeah. It's just like, okay, this is a ridiculous conversation. So I went in with like a clean slate kind of thing. And I fell asleep 3 times.
Yeah, but that's probably more to jet lag than the film, I would argue.
Oh, yeah, no, it was. But I woke up, and every time I woke up, something really cringy happened. So then I went back asleep. And I'm just like, it was 2 hours that I'll never get back.
Yeah, I would argue that you technically didn't see the film.
Well,
because you were asleep.
Well, the same thing happened when I watched Lolita Bata Angel, and that was incredible. Even though the fact I kept falling asleep during it, I saw enough of Captain Marvel though to the point. Like, if I wasn't asleep, I would have walked out because it was that bad.
Yeah. Well, I actually saw it as well, so I wouldn't like. Look, I'm not going to say that the film was like amazing or anything. I would say that it's not like the film. The film for me was like, I would say it was one of the weaker outings for Marvel films. I have a tough time. It's weird because like, I mean, for me, the weakest, definitively the two weakest films aside from this would be Incredible Hulk and Iron Man 2.
I see, but here's the thing. Like, I think the major problem with the movie was that there was a good movie there. It's just Brie Larson is not interesting in any way.
Well, I don't think that the arc for the character is interesting in any way.
No, because she's exactly the same person at the end of the movie as she's at the beginning. Nothing changes about it.
It's more like the. Yeah, I mean that's actually a genuinely good point. But it kind of reminded me of. Do you remember when Andrew Garfield was doing Spider-Man?
Yes,
and the way they had him playing Peter Parker was as a laid-back, mouthy kid, and the way they had him play Spider-Man was as a laid-back, mouthy superhero. And you're like, what's the difference between these characters?
Exactly. There's no growth. And
like, there it's a bigger problem because Peter's legitimately not a mouthy person. Whereas, like, I mean, with this, it was just a case of like, I feel like I don't feel like the film was trying too hard. I just don't feel like, especially after the last run of films, starting with, I want to say, Guardians of the Galaxy 2, and then you had Spider-Man, and you had, or maybe Spider-Man. Well, like, yeah, I mean, there were kind of blips in there, but like there was this seemed like a conceited effort to try and have like an emotional arc take place for at least one character in a lot of the films that we'd seen from Marvel over the last while, where like, Guardians of the Galaxy was a very, very emotional ending, and then like, even like some like Black Panther has like a very emotion driven conflict between the hero and villain, which is kind of what you want to see in a film anyway. And then, the way they depicted Thanos was really, really, like, was again a very emotive experience. And this was a story where, like, it wasn't so much like that there was like a character growth. It was just that they were just going, well, she has amnesia, and at the end of Act 2, she doesn't have amnesia anymore, and that's kind of it. It was kind of like a lot more of like telling rather than showing, if that makes sense.
It was the George Lucas style of movie making, where characters would just appear and say really awkward, stilted dialogue, and then kind of move on to the next scene. I think the biggest problem as well was tonally, it was all over the place. Like, you had like a really serious, kind of really boring opening act, and then it just switched into Guardians of the Galaxy all of a sudden, and then kind of went.
Well, I wouldn't say it was like really awful about tone. I would just say that like it, because I didn't feel like it was uneven tone-wise. I just felt like, I mean, like one thing that I felt, I remember saying this like as soon as I came out of the cinema, I felt like she was told that she was a funny character more often than she said something funny, which is a problem for me. I kind of go like, no, I'm an audience member. I decide if someone's funny. Like, like I would say that, come away from Die Hard, I'd go like, John McClane's a pretty funny guy, even though he only says like 2 or 3 funny lines. But she definitely said more than that. But I don't come away going she was funny because they kept telling me she was funny, and it's like it's
the problem with the character in general, even in the comics. Like Captain Marvel is not an interesting character in the comics. You know, like, okay, right. Let's take your examples of the weakest MCU movies. I disagree. I think I actually like Iron Man 2 quite a lot, and I like the Hulk.
Oh no, I'm not saying that I dislike those films. I'm just saying that if I'm ranking from top to bottom, those ones are at the bottom of my list.
Fair.
I like those films.
I would say Guardians of the Galaxy 2 would be quite weak for me, and you know, obviously Black Panther and that other train wreck that masquerades Thor movie is up there too. But at least they had compelling through line, you know?
Yeah.
Like, this really served no purpose.
Well, it's a vehicle to get to Endgame.
I don't think so, though. Here's the thing. I was expecting that. I'll be honest. What I was expecting from this was a very, very safe, middle of the ground movie where it's like.
Well, I think it was that.
No, it wasn't. It didn't do anything that was safe. It was just boring.
Yeah, but what's the difference between a safe film and a boring film?
A safe film would be Iron Man 2. A safe film would be The Incredible Hulk. This was just boring. The most interesting thing, like, here's the thing. Samuel L. Jackson, I thought, was pretty cool. He was really good, obviously.
Well, they had him play like a sunnier Nick Fury, which was, you know, was a nice breath of fresh air for the character.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, you know, it was everything. I think the best way to sum this up is everything around Carol Danvers, Brie Larson, was awesome. And there was a good movie there. It's just as soon as it turned to her, the movie fell apart. It was just like, wow. And the end credits, spoilers, the end credits scene with the Avengers kind of being a clip from Endgame, it's like,
yeah.
If she's going to be like the new Iron Man, as in like the focus of the Avengers, this is going to go south really quickly because she just doesn't have the acting chops to be able to hang with the rest of it. To be fair, I came away from the film and I was like, I am so glad that she has this and not Ronda Rousey, who was also a front runner for the role. Oh, wow.
That would have been way worse.
That would have been so much worse.
Yeah, so it's like,
so much worse. Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's one of those things where you go like, you know, and again, like I don't know enough about. I know Brie Larson more from the Lego movies, which, by the way, the sequel is fantastic.
It is. I loved it.
You know, like the sequel is like so good.
Dude, also like, Scott Pilgrim. Come on, she's Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, I don't like Scott Pilgrim.
You're wrong.
No. Like no. Like, well, I say like I don't like it. I'm not saying that I hate it. I'm just saying like it like Scott Pilgrim just doesn't really do much for me.
Yeah, but I mean, like, she was very good in that movie. She actually, like, ironically, being like the more restrained kind of character that she is in that movie, she was able to convey more emotion than she was in this movie, which she's supposed to be a much more emotive character. It's
but that's the problem though. Is I think the story that they were telling with her just didn't have like an emotional center to it.
Who was the bad guy?
Jude Law.
I see. That's the thing, right? We were told he was the bad guy, but he wasn't really. It was just from a point of view, you know. Again, from my point of view, the Jedi's. You know, it's like he wasn't really evil. He just didn't like the Skrulls. Which, to be fair, there was a good reason to like the Skrulls because in the comics for the past 30 years,
I thought that was. Yeah, I mean, like, this isn't the first time the MCU's kind of flipped the script on like established canon. You know,
but here's the thing as well.
Jump straight to mind.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the thing, though, right? Like, up until this point, a lot of people, like even ourselves, we were talking. You know, are the Skrulls going to play a big part in the next 5-10 years in the MCU? You know, because you can do a lot with them.
Yeah.
Now you can't.
Yeah.
Like, you can't have an event where you can't have Secret Invasion. You know,
well, the thing about that is like you're also assuming that the Skrulls were tricking her. You know, which, you know, the Skrulls, they totally could be. So it's I don't think I see, like when it comes to doing stuff like that, don't think that potentially leaving yourself open to going, well, the bad guys lied, isn't necessarily like a bad position to leave yourself in. Like, I think, again, like for me, the biggest problem I have with it is I just don't feel like there was much of like an emotional aspect to the story, because like even when she was like, oh well, you betrayed me, you lied to me, you're like, yeah, but it doesn't feel like it's that big a deception, because I don't know, that like the story just doesn't give it that breathing room, you know. I feel like the biggest problem with it is like the way that they told the story just didn't allow for that, like for that moment where you go, oh my god, it was the Kree who were evil all along, you know. They just kind of go, oh, by the way, they're actually bad guys now, and you're just like, oh, okay. And
but even still, like with it felt like it was made by Marvel's like D team. You know, it's like, oh, here, go out there with some cameras and make a movie. We don't care what it is, just have it done by this time. And it's like we touched on this when we were talking about Black Panther, where it's like a lot of the CGI kind of looked a bit spotty here and there.
Yeah.
And it's just like, okay, yeah, but
the story never did. Like,
exactly, yeah, that was still a decent story, you know, and had like the best Marvel villain so far. But this was just kind of like, it was all kind of like, I'll just do whatever you want, you know. It felt a parody of, no, sorry, not a parody. It felt like a Fox Disney movie.
Yeah, but it's like, you know, like, I mean, even comparing it to, like, again, just going to bring up Lego Movie 2, because again, it was fantastic and you should really watch it. But like the way that that film revealed its villain, like it completely makes you go like, oh damn, that's actually so much more. Like it just upped the ante on the emotional charge for the film, you know. And I felt that the way that they like, even though like if you're used to films, you can see the reveal coming, but you're still like, oh, this is actually much more engaging on an emotional level, and there's just nothing like that in Captain Marvel, and I find that to be such a shame. Like,
there's one or two good scenes in it that made it worse, and I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like the Come As You Are scene.
Yeah,
I thought that was like such a cool, interesting way of doing that. Even the way the scene felt, it was all kind of cool. I'm like, that's actually awesome, and it was, you know,
that was a really, really well executed scene.
And I really enjoyed the kind of like banter that she had with Fury as well. It kind of felt like a cop movie, and I'm like, it's like you had good ideas, but the execution. I
think it was just like because like I don't really feel like the movie had blemishes. I just feel like it was really good spots around not a lot of everything else.
Yeah, like I think the rating of 34% is fair, but not for the reason that some people may have picked. Yeah. But also the fact that it has a critic rating of 86% is absolutely scandalous, because it's not that. Yeah,
but you also have to remember is that like that kind of rating is a thumbs up, thumbs down. It's not exactly like it's not like 86% of critics going, yeah, it's good. It's not the same thing as going 86% of critics gave it 4.5 stars.
Yeah, true.
You know, it's not like, I mean, like I would come away from the movie going, yeah, I liked it, but I wouldn't be raving about it. I'd be like, yeah, it's good. It's worth a watch. It has merits to it. I'm not going to say like I don't think for a second it's as I wouldn't put it for a second in the same caliber of film as I would put like I wouldn't put in the same caliber quality as like Man of Steel.
Well, here's a question for you. If you didn't see this movie, knowing what you know, would you have to watch it before Endgame?
No.
Yeah, see, that's the problem, and I think that's the fundamental. That's the fundamental problem with this.
Yeah, but okay. Well, let's put it like this: if knowing what you know, what films out of Phase 1 would you say were mandatory for enjoying the first Avengers film?
All of them, I'd say. To be fair, all of them, because they all kind of serve a purpose. They do kind of build up. Particularly, hold on. Just let me finish. Because that payoff when they're in New York is kind of like a celebration of all those movies.
Yeah. What I would say is that, like, it's in terms of like required knowledge, Cap is really important. Thor isn't important. Like, I would say Hulk isn't really that important either. And barring one or two things from Iron Man 2, it's not important.
Yeah,
you know, so you're left with like 2 films out of what, 4? You know, it's.
Yeah, but
you know, it's
like, I understand what you're saying, and you're right, but it's. I'm starting to see the cracks in the MCU.
Yeah,
you know,
totally. But this is always going to happen. Like, as soon as Endgame hit, I was like, he's like, God, I really enjoyed that film. I think the last comic book film I really enjoyed was to this extent was Flashpoint Paradox, and then I went, oh no, because after Flashpoint Paradox is when we started seeing a dip in quality from the DC animated films.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh no, because you know that's very much. I mean, like Flashpoint Paradox, in my opinion, is the best Justice League animated film that's been made, and that, like, it would be a shame if Endgame doesn't work out. I hope it does. I think that there'll be enough there. I think see, the problem is, like, with Captain Marvel in it kind of it'll take a lot of the sting out of all the other kind of arcs and stuff that we've been building up for so long. But hopefully it'll be handled. Hopefully it'll be handled in a way that'll actually be a satisfying payoff.
And you think it will be?
I would, if it's put money on it, I think it will be. But I don't think it'll be as satisfying as we want it to be. I feel like it's going to fall, you know, the way, like, after the kind of the setup that you got for Empire Strikes Back, and you go into the Jedi, and you're like, it was satisfying, but I thought it would be more satisfying. I feel like it's going to be that kind of. I think it's going to be that kind of feeling again.
Right.
You know, and I love Return of the Jedi, but I also don't think that Return of the Jedi gives the level of payoff and emotional satisfaction that you want after watching Empire Strikes Back. You know? And I feel like it'll be the same kind of thing here. Because, like, I mean, if nothing else, like, the Infinity War was the Empire Strikes Back of this era of filmmaking, as far as I'm concerned. So, I would like to. I say it's a good sign, but it's also a bit sad because you're going like, oh, I think we're on the downward trend now.
I don't know, like, I was sitting in the cinema and I was kind of like sitting there going, there were 4 or 5 ads for comic book movies, and I'm like, I'm kind of sick of seeing comic book movies now at this point.
Yeah, but I think a lot of people are at this point. Like, I mean, I remember talking with one of my friends who he got sick of comic book films around the time of the second Avengers film, and he was saying, well, like, you know, what would you want to see happen with comic book films? I said, like, I want small comic book hero stories, you know, where it's like, you have a Spider-Man story, and it's him. You know, and it's not even really about him being Spider-Man. It's just him struggling with doing like a day in the life story with Spider-Man. I think will be a really fun film.
Kind of like the game.
Just
kind of like the game.
Yeah, kind of like the game. but like something that is just a bit more like small scale. Like that's one of the reasons why Dread holds up so much for me, because it is just such a small scale story.
Yeah, it's so self-contained, like.
Yeah, but even if you were watching like, I think even if you were doing like a murder mystery with Batman, I think would be an excellent film, and I'd watch the hell out of it. Where you just basically are doing Poirot, but it's Batman.
Do you think that could work?
Well, I mean, I base that purely on the fact that, like, my all-time favorite Batman book is Long Halloween, which is a murder mystery. So
it does suffer from the sequel, though. It suffers from sequelitis pretty badly.
Yeah, but I think you can, again, like, Long Halloween, it does have a sequel, but it's something where, like, Batman's always going to have a sequel anyway, but if you just try to tell it, so like when it comes to the sequels, like I just want them to wrap up the arcs they have, like do 2 more Spider-Man films, finish off the Guardians of the Galaxy films, and like whatever doesn't have a trip, like do one last Ant-Man film.
So we're going to take a break, and when we get back, a whole bunch more here on Nerd to Know Basis at Phoenix 92.5 FM. Okay, so you're listening to the podcast and you're wondering, well, what if I want to listen live and I'm not in Ireland? Well, don't worry. Go over to www.nerdtoknowmedia.com. On the webpage at the bottom, there is a link to the Phoenix FM stream. Check out the details of the show you want to listen to and you'll be able to catch us live. Don't forget to tweet in nerd2, the number 2, no 92.5, or of course you can contact us via the contact tab on the website over on nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Centre, this is Phoenix FM.
Okay, everybody, you're listening to Phoenix FM, Nerd to Know Basis. Thanks very much for joining me. I am not alone. I am joined by DCC press coordinator Olivia Fahy. How are things, Olivia?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Very, very good. Thanks for joining me this morning. It's great to have you back on the show.
Oh, no problem.
So we have coming very, very quickly down the pipeline, actually, the spring edition of DCC on March the 9th and 10th at the Convention Centre. This is something that kind of rolled out last year where we had, 2 editions of it, but massive response, very, very successful. Congratulations on the expansion.
Oh, thanks very much. We were absolutely delighted. And this year we've changed the weekend for the spring edition. Last year it was Easter weekend, so it did a hell of a lot better than anyone sort of told us it was going to be. So we were really, really chuffed with that. And then hopefully now with it being just a little bit earlier in March, we should be able to keep everyone happy this year, I think.
I'd say from being there at both of them, they were the busiest cons I've ever been at, and that's saying something. Even when I was over in London and stuff, people just really have seemed to hone in on this now as an event, and the crowds were huge, going from kids up to teenagers to adults like yourself, myself. It's great to see that it's super mainstream now. Is that the response that you guys have been getting?
Yeah, it's been great to see. Just like, even just from my own personal point of view, it's like I've always been a big fan of comics and geekdom and things like that myself, and to see just such a wide variety of people who've never even been to a Comic-Con before might come and then be like, oh, we're definitely going to come back to this one, we thought this was great. It's so fun to see now that the Comic-Con is cool.
Yeah, like
it's not the thing to be teased about anymore, which is great.
Yeah, no, definitely not. And particularly in Ireland as well, where it kind of took a little bit of time to get going, but now you have everything from people just going to it to buy a comic or to cosplay and stuff like that as well. It really is an event, a mainstream kind of thing that people can go to and have a great time. And you guys are the best at it.
Oh shucks.
No. You are now. I must say, I wouldn't steer my listeners wrong.
Well, after 7 years, I'd kind of hoped that we would be.
That's true. But even the location in the convention center now, it's nice and central, and it's although what's weird is when you're going to it and you see a couple of people in cosplay, and you're like, this is kind of, you forget where you're going, and then you see them walk out of a spa or something, and you're like, this is hilarious.
We're on the Lewis in the morning when you're going in, and you meet Spider-Man on the Lewis.
Yeah, you're like, oh, there we go. But yeah, so not only have you added to this and made it a little bit earlier, but you've kind of expanded it out. So they're kind of tell the listeners maybe what's new, what can they expect this time around.
Well, so last year, just what you mentioned there, that we've changed it up a little bit. So last year at this time, we did a lot more focus on anime, just because we knew that anime is a hugely popular area, but it wasn't really getting the attention that it deserves. We decided to dedicate the last spring edition, to anime. And then the little bits that sort of worked from that, we've now incorporated into the main show in August, but then also we're bringing it back again now to the spring edition.
Right.
So we'll still have the cosplay village, and so if you have any like accidents with your cosplays and your props and things like that, there's also like the cosplay hospital and things like that there. So there'll still be a lot of those sort of aspects sort of incorporated in. We're going to have some screenings taking place throughout the day also. Can't tell you who exactly yet, but if you keep an eye on the website, that should be announced soon.
Sure.
We're also, can I tell you about that one now? No, I can't. There's been a little hint put up on the Facebook page and on the website about how we've got some beautiful owls coming. So a few years ago, we had the Game of Thrones direwolves.
Yep, I remember.
In attendance.
Yep.
So for this edition now, we've got some lovely and beautiful owls coming to check out what we've got going on at Comic-Con.
Oh, there's an exclusive, guys.
Then also a new thing that we've started is we've teamed up with John and Brenda Romeo, and they are going to be helping us with our Indie Game Dev Day on Friday. So if you want more information on that can be found on our Facebook event page and then also on our website. There's quite a few little different things that we like to try out, because at the end of the day, if it's the same thing every single year, the people who do come every single year, they're going to get a little bit tired of it. So we like to try the new things and keep it a bit fresh.
See, that's pretty cool though, to keep it relatively local as well by breaking into have the industry context there with John and Brenda Romero, like focusing on game development. Who else to learn than the creators of Doom,
No, exactly.
It's amazing, but also as from a comic perspective as well, the comic guest list is quite good with Irish and international names, and the actual guest list as well. Who are you excited about personally to meet with the guests that you have lined up? I have to say, when I saw the guest list this time around, I marked out literally like a 6-year-old.
See, that's a difficult question to ask me, just because, especially with this year's lineup, it ticks so many boxes. Yeah. Like, it's like you've got James Marsters from Buffy, you've got Kevin Sorbo from Hercules, you've got Jason David Frank, Power Rangers. Like, those three shows were like really big in my childhood. Same. But then you've also got Jonathan Frakes from Star Trek, who I always thought was absolutely amazing. Doug Jones. I know him as Billy Butcherson from Hocus Pocus, which is one of my favorite films. So
he was in that. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was.
It's one of those films where you kind of, like, of course, because he's always in all the prosthetics, you're never 100% sure, like, if it's him or not. But he's been in so much. And then, like, to top it all off, we've got Doug Cockle, who is, of course, in The Witcher. And it's just, I think it's just such a great group that we've got this year. And then, as you know, we've got Pom Klemchiev will be back in August. She unfortunately starts press for Avengers Endgame. So we'll hopefully have her back now in August, which is great.
It's one of the strongest lineups I've seen in any Irish con in a couple of years, actually. I would say like big heavy hitters. And even if I wasn't going beforehand, I would. Reading this, definitely I was like, no, you'd have to go. Personally, just to me, Jason David Frank, you know, I have to. I'm a huge Power Rangers fan, obviously. James Masters, you know, those guys alone is just, it's unreal, you know. Fair play. That's something that I think is going to be very, very popular with the nerds and geeks of Dublin. So congratulations.
Oh, thanks very much. And what's always great for us is that when we do get in touch with certain like performers and things like that majority of the time is we get an email back saying, oh yeah, one of your prior guests was actually telling us about that and they'd be quite interested because of their feedback. So it's always lovely for us to know that our guests are also like picking us up to their friends and things like that. So it's lovely.
Oh, that's fantastic. And you know, I would encourage everybody to go over and check the website DublinComicCon.com to kind of see more details and everything we're talking about. But not only that as well, there's also interactive sets, which you guys are, you know, famous for now. They seem to get better every year. Cosplay Village, panels. I'd say actually, myself and Bryn, we overdid it with the panels last time around. We wanted to cover everything that we could, and there's so much to see, Olivia. Yeah. It really is an exhausting process. Do you have any kind of insight into any panels that are coming up, or will we have to wait?
You're going to have to wait and see. They haven't been announced yet, but there's definitely going to be ones that cover all the different sort of areas for sure. Like we've got a great variety this year for sure, and yeah. No, you just have to wait and see. I can't say any more than that.
Okay. Fair enough. And then there's guest signings, guest photos, the Trader Hall, which is always, you know, you pick up some great deals there, craft tables, and then, you know, your gaming section. One thing that I noticed an improvement as well, that the gaming has really kind of grown out. So VR was there last time I was there, and now you're bringing in more kind of like Fortnite and stuff like that as well. How's that? What caused the change?
It was mostly feedback from the guests, and we sort of knew from our own observations that the way that it had been like set up and things like that, like it wasn't working exactly the way that we wanted it to work. So from feedback from patrons like yourself and just like regular attendees and things like that, we were just like, okay, let's sit down, let's sort of see how can we make this better?
Right.
And over the last, I think, 2 cons, I think we've really sort of honed in on that. And then especially having like something like the indie game sort of like down the corridor and things like that. They've got their own dedicated space, and then everyone can sort of hang out and chat in there and try them out. So I think it's great.
Okay. And, you know, that's great to have that kind of accessibility, because sometimes with other cons it can be difficult because there's so many people, but you know, it's great to see such a great improvement and that you guys listen to feedback. And look, I'm not surprised that you listen to feedback because it gets better every year. Okay, Olivia, before we wrap this up, is there anything you want to kind of tell the listeners?
Just that if you've never been to a Comic-Con before, don't be turned off. Like, it's a great day out. What I always say is that we're a family. Like, we're a group of fans organizing a convention for fans. So we will always have like everyone's excitement and best interest at heart and things like that. So we would always love to see new faces coming in, but we also love to see returning faces as well. So if you're thinking of giving it a shot, then head on over to our website, www.dublincomiccon.com, and you can check out all we have to offer there.
Okay, guys, and I encourage you to do so. Tickets are still available. You can get them through the website. And, of course, Olivia, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it.
No problem at all. Thanks, man.
No worries. All right, guys, we'll be back after this short break here on NerdtoKnowBasis on Phoenix 92.5 FM. I have to say, man, I was playing a lot of Mortal Kombat recently. I've got super into Mortal Kombat, which is weird because I didn't think I loved Mortal Kombat so much, but I do. And I was playing Mortal Kombat XL, so I'm almost finished it. I'm about 93% into finishing it. And then I've been watching a bunch of videos on it in general, and I'm like, wow, I think this might actually be my favorite fighting series of all time. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I never had that affiliation with it. I didn't
think I did either.
Yeah, I just found that I love the story, but I don't like the mechanics or how combos are done. It's just I just never really was able to engage with it. I much preferred Tekken was always much more in my speed for I like how the combos work in it because I feel like you can kind of figure out how the chains work a bit better. Because like when a combo doesn't work, you go like, oh, it makes sense that it doesn't work. And then whereas I find that when in the way that the Mortal Kombat games are made, the Mortal Kombat combat system works is that like if you don't do things exactly right, you're like, I have no idea what I did wrong here.
Well, see, there's a couple of things on that. Like it's the games have changed so much that they are pretty much 3 different type of games. The first one is, you know, your 90s combat. The one that came out around the same time as Tekken are not the best games, like Deadly Alliance and stuff like that, but the newer ones, they're so fluid and fun.
Oh yeah, like but I'm even specifically talking about the newer ones because I remember I got I got Mortal Kombat X and I also got the what's the Justice League game?
Injustice, yeah. I like Injustice a lot, actually.
But like Injustice again has the exact same. It's the same engine, like
they're the same game. They're exactly
the same game. It's just like, but like you know what I mean. But the combat works where sometimes you can just do a combo and you go like, I don't understand what I did wrong with this combo, but it didn't go through fully, and I'm not a big fan of that.
Fair.
At the moment, actually, speaking of fighting games, because for anyone who has a PS4, I don't know if you saw the January sale, but oh my god, there were some incredible sales going on in the sale this year.
What'd you get?
I got UFC 3 for 20 quid.
Wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, well, considering it's 80, yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, no, there were some pretty good. So I did nab some pretty good deals over the Christmas. I will have to say, great sale.
The one thing that like disappointed me the most about UFC 3 was that I couldn't beat the crap out of terrible friend CM Punk, which is what I really
terrible friend. Oh my god, is that a new gimmick for you, Bryn? Terrible friend CM Punk.
New gimmick.
New gimmick.
When was he ever a good friend? Is what I want to know.
I don't know. There was some pretty cool, some pretty outlandish rumors there about AJ Lee that apparently she was difficult to work with too.
Oh, shocking!
And I'm like, well, she did marry him. Obviously, they're very similar in some way, or they wouldn't have stayed together. So
yeah, if you read the book, if you read her book, you're like, yeah, the two of you belong together. Like,
I don't know. Apparently, they're nice in person, though. To be fair, comic books shops.
Oh, like, I mean, there's a difference between being nice to a complete stranger and like telling a friend, "Don't worry about this court case that you could have easily avoided. I'll support you financially," and then going, "Sorry, bro, you have to pay a mortgage that you definitely can't afford." Like,
you're on your own. Yeah, that's pretty harsh.
Like there is a difference between the two of them. Like being nice to someone for 5 minutes and being nice to someone for 5 years are two very different things.
Fair. But speaking of some bad news, I will have to say actually, dude, I'm devastated by this. This really sucks. Microsoft is going to end support for Windows 7 next year.
Yep.
Why?
Because that's what they do.
Like, everybody likes Windows 7. Everyone likes
Windows XP too, but like that didn't stop them from ending support with it.
Yeah, I know, but Windows XP was banjaxed. You know, Windows 7 is great. I'm using Windows 7 now as we speak, and I love it. You know, I think it's great. And if I put Windows 10 on this PC, it'll kill it dead. So I'm like,
oh yeah, totally. But that's
what am I supposed to do? Like, you know,
well, there's a really, really simple solution for you, Dara.
I'm not going to put Linux on it. I have my Linux machines.
But Dara,
yeah,
it needs to turn.
It needs to turn.
It needs to become a Linux host.
A Linux host. Actually, we should have a Linux segment every week where we just this week in Linux. This week in Linux or Linux Watch. I think they're pretty cool. So there was a good series on YouTube where your man actually is like, "Hey, I'm gonna get the worst machine I can and upgrade it." So he took this absolute piece of garbage and upgraded it to okay specs, and then he ran Hannah Montana Linux on it. He's like, "Look how great this is. I'm sorry," and he apologized.
You know, this is Justin Bieber distro as well.
Oh, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I saw it and it's like Bebian. That's what it's called.
Oh my god, Bebian, of course. Bebian. I love it.
I saw like a Reddit thread about that where someone was like, why would anyone think that's a good idea to make that? It's like, because it's really funny. Like, look at this person thinking that making a distro for a pop star is really funny.
There's actually I was trying to do something there during the week, and I didn't want to put full Ubuntu on the VM, so I started looking for lightweight VMs, and Lubuntu, which is like low Linux. It's actually great. It runs so nice. But now I did just put full Ubuntu on it because I needed it to install Rails on it, and it works so it's incredible how little RAM and resources it actually needs to run perfectly on a VM compared to Windows. And then
there's Lubuntu, which is
smaller
even smaller again, and it's great. Like, I mean, it's like for anyone who has like an old laptop and they're going, well, like, what can I do? Like, put on Lubuntu onto it, and
it's a question that I see a lot. People are like, I should have scrapped my old laptop, and it's like, no, or even a desktop, because there's loads you can do. Actually, we have the same thing here at home where we have a desktop that's XP, right, a Ren XP, and it's just sitting there, and we're talking about stripping it and turning it into a NAS. Which is something you can do. You can get Open Media Vault, which is a Linux distro as well, and it just turns the whole thing into a network, basically a private cloud.
Yep.
So that's something that we're looking at doing, and I would say do that unless you
hook up a VPN to that, and away you go.
Yeah, well, unless you need a computer. If you need a computer, then install Ubuntu, or what's it? LastOX is open source one as well, and then there's one. There's loads of different Zorin. That's also looks like with Windows. I don't know. There's just weird resistance towards the Linux for some reason. We talked about before we went on air that in the workforce, the IT workforce, like 20% of people have Linux.
Yeah, but it's
crazy.
I think it's one of those because like it's just seen as a bit chaotic and a bit like a bit of a head wreck. And like to be fair, like I have Ubuntu on a partition on my machine, and I have to reinstall the drivers for my Wi-Fi card every 2 weeks. I don't know why.
Fair enough.
I have to do it every 2 weeks, and it's really annoying. And there's no help for it online, and it's really annoying. And then I just get frustrated and go, I'm putting on Windows again, and then I put on Windows, and Windows runs fine, which is really annoying because I want to use my Ubuntu partition.
Windows runs fine until it doesn't, and stuff like this is one of the times when it doesn't. And I'm like, I like Windows 7. Leave Windows 7 alone. Like, I heard that they were going to bring out
leave 7 alone.
They were going to bring out support where you could pay yearly or something like that for it. If Windows brought out like a 10-year pack where you'd pay a fixed fee of like €40 for support, I'd pay that.
Yeah, but it wouldn't.
No, it would be a ridiculous amount of money. It'd be like €40 a year, and
you'd be basically paying enterprise prices for a home OS.
But like, numbers came out there that Windows 10 actually did take over 7 around the world recently. So, there is that. But I don't know, like, it's frustrating that, I'm probably going to either have to put 10 or risk putting 10 on this, or else strip it down to Linux, because it's just like...
Yeah, well, you know what you're going to do then, strip it down to Linux.
Yeah, probably. It's just annoying. But hey, for anyone who we lost there, it's like, what's Linux? It's like, guys... Seriously, Linux is cool. Actually, speaking of which, I had a Raspberry Pi there, and I wanted to figure out how to SSH into it without using Wi-Fi. You can SSH into it via USB.
Again, SSH. This is secure shell. What's the H for again?
It's secure shell. Secure shell. That's what it is. Yeah.
Secure shell. Yeah. So, like, basically, the idea is that you're able to securely just remote into the command line of the PC. It's very like for in terms of like for admin purposes, it's great because it means you don't actually have to be on the. You don't even have to really be on site.
No.
With it, you can just, as long as you're on the same network, you can actually just remotely access it, and it's very, very useful for being able to move around different systems. But it's more common to see it done with Linux. You can actually install libraries and stuff like that for Windows, but using remote desktop protocols tends to be much more popular. That way, you get to have the whole graphic user interface
exactly.
to play with. Well,
exactly.
So.
And the same principle applies here.
Yeah. Oh.
But Bryn, I tell you, it's weird. Every time we start the show, it's like we're almost ready to finish it. Right? We're coming up now to the last 5 minutes, and it's the fastest show.
It's the fastest hour of the week.
It's the fastest hour of the week. It really is. And we literally just we have a list of topics, guys, but we just sit and shoot the what. So if you guys have anything that you want us to talk about, let us know, because there is a lot to get through with certain things. But
we try making our own notes, but that just goes out of the window once one of us goes on a tangent, and that's the show over.
That's what happened. That's what happened today.
Absolutely. I didn't.
Don't worry, guys. Next week we'll keep it the superheroes, okay?
That's not gonna happen. like guys, send us in your notes, and then we can use them, and then we could go. No, they gave us things to talk about. We have to do it. So anyway, I was having a cheese sandwich. Oh, I love cheese.
Did you know that cheese was invented? Oh no, but seriously, guys, if you want to contact us, there's a bunch of ways to do it. So you can
tell us your favorite cheese.
Yeah. So what did you think about post 9/11 America? At Bryn, so at cast_Bryn. Cast_cast.
That's the one.
That's the one. So anyway, if you want to reach us,
I want to know your favorite cheese and what you thought of post 9/11 America.
Oh man, what a weird combination. So listen, the best way for you guys to reach us is to go over to www.NerdtoKnowMedia.com, and that will give you our beautiful website with links to Geeks of the Industry, with links to our Twitch, show archives, iTunes, Spotify, the whole bunch, and then you can contact us directly there by clicking on the contact button, and that will open up your Gmail account, or if you can just email us directly, nerdtoknowpfm@gmail.com. If you don't want to do that and rather go through the Twitter, it's at nerd2, the number 2, no 92.5. And they're the best way to reach us, or on Facebook. There's no excuse not to get involved. Bryn, before we finish up this truly bizarre edition of Nerd to Know Basis, what would you like to plug?
Geez Louise, you kind of ran through most of the plugs there, so I have no idea what I want to plug.
Right on.
Get Ubuntu. It's great.
We love Linux. We love two things here: cheese and Linux.
Yeah.
So
and like politics from a decade ago, apparently.
It's just, listen, if I could go back to one time, it would be 2002 till about 2007, and I just loop a Bandersnatch style there forever. That's one thing we didn't talk about. We'll talk about it next week. But until then, guys, my Twitter is at DaraWV. Of course, Bryn's Twitter, if you want to add him, is at cast_Bryn_cast. So until next week, guys, I've been Dara Connor. He's been Bryn O'Rourke. This is Nerd to Know Basis on Phoenix 92.5 FM. We'll talk to you then.
Bye.